Wes Craven was an American filmmaker born in 1939. For Swamp Thing, the Nightmare and Scream series, his work for television, and his movies before and after the 1980s, see the respective retrospectives. In the 1981 horror thriller Deadly Blessing, a woman comes into conflict with a local strictly religious group when her husband, a former member, dies in a strange tractor accident/murder in his barn, which by the way is never solved. The situation comes to a head when two friends come to visit, as apparently a killer sneaks around, at least at the beginning and before the end. The completely implausible bore, which can't decide if it wants to be a thriller or a supernatural fantasy whatsoever, quite rightly received consistently poor reviews and at an estimated cost of $3 million fell with a box office of $8 million in the US short of expectations. The only deadly thing here is the boredom it spreads most of the time. In the final, it first turns into an old-fashioned slasher, then into a ghost story, and at the very end someone even gets dragged into hell. In The Deadly Friend from 1986, teenage prodigy Paul, who has built a robot named Bibi that occasionally exhibits autonomous behavior such as being protective, and his single mother become the new neighbors of Samantha, whom he befriends, and who lives with her abusive alcoholic father. When Bibi is destroyed thanks to a failed prank and Sam is pushed down the stairs by her father and declared brain dead, he and a friend steal the corpse and implant Bibi's chip into his teenage girlfriend's brain to save her. The experiment proves successful, but she soon begins a series of murders in her neighborhood. Even though I personally, and I know I'm pretty much alone in this, since even Wes Craven distanced himself from his movie, still like the completely messed up Frankenstein version, it understandably received consistently negative reviews. Couldn't even make its $11 million budget in the US back and was a huge flop. Originally it was intended as a PG science fiction thriller with no graphic scenes. Similarly, Diane Hanstel's highly recommendable original from the previous year, Friend, in Germany as The Uncanny Prodigy, with more focus on plot, characters and a dark love story, which is not about young adults, but about children. There, 13-year-old Paul, nicknamed Piggy since he is overweight, befriends 11-year-old Samantha, which is not only struggling with the separation of his parents and the move from Boston to a small town, but also with nightmares in which he is haunted by an older classmate/former tormentor who died in a laboratory incident caused by him. There, Bibi is just an ordinary robot, without AI, who also doesn't talk cute, just beeps, why he is called Bibi, but serves as a substitute friend for the socially unadaptable Paul, here with slightly autistic traits, who never leaves his side, and is practically rejected by the whole new town, just like Paul, thanks to his intelligence, especially by the teachers. The events take place over weeks rather than days, during which Sam's body, whose corpse smell never disappears and becomes a problem, slowly regenerates, but her face does not. And her 4 murders, 3 in the movie, are rather unspectacular. The father and a too curious deputy are simply strangled. The mean neighbor drowned in the bathtub, the best friend in the book The Coroner's Son stabbed, and it ends with Paul's suggested suicide. After the test audience apparently expected something bloodier from a Craven film, the studio made, to Craven's annoyance, a re-edit. Included several gore scenes, also the stupid senseless Carrie ending, and changed the original title Friend to Deadly Friend, resulting in a non-marketable X rating, which only after several more corrections, it had to go 13 times under the knife, did even get an R rating. 1988 is scientist Dennis Allen in The Serpent and the Rainbow on behalf of a pharmaceutical company in Haiti on the trail of a powder that can be used to anesthetize people so deeply that they appear dead. Psychiatrist Marielle is willing to help him with his research, but henchmen of the dictatorial Duvalier regime, such as the police chief and voodoo priest who tortures and deports him, use the drug to eliminate their political opponents. When Ellen returns to save Marielle, he finds himself undead in a grave. The fantastic soundtrack by Brett Fidel, who also scored Terminator and Fright Night, is among fans, just like the movie, an absolute insider tip. In my opinion, The Serpent and the Rainbow is, despite some effects, by far the best and probably only realistic zombie movie. Since this theme, and especially voodoo, is most of the time treated more like a gimmick. But here it seems extremely credible, since Wade Davis' controversial same-named non-fiction book from 1985 served as inspiration. In the bestseller, illustrated with several photographs, the ethnobotanist investigated the story of Clairvius Nazis in Haiti, who was allegedly poisoned, buried alive, and revived with a herbal brew which produced what was called a zombie. The well-cast atmospheric horror, whose interesting story is unusually thoughtful, integrated into actual events. Duvalier actually ruled from 1971 until his escape in 1986, where the movie is set, tended to get positive feedback and made almost 3 times its $7 million budget in the US back. So at least it didn't make a loss. 1989, student Jonathan makes in Shocker, through a dream, contact with TV technician Horace Pinker and is forced to watch the wanted serial killer massacre his family. He leads his adoptive father/investigating cop on Pinker's trail, who kills during his escape several cops and later the girlfriend. Thanks to further psychic clues, he seriously dreams himself nightmare style into the crime scenes. Pinker is finally caught and faces the electric chair. During the execution, Jonathan learns that he is Pinker's biological son, which shot him in the knee as a child to defend his mother. The electricity transforms the killer TV technician, thanks to a deal with the devil or something, into an almost unstoppable energy being, who can now take possession of others, disappear into the socket, jumps through the TV channels, or whatever else the unimaginative script at kindergarten level needs. The only shocking thing here is how cheap this clearly Child's Play inspired thing already looked back then, and how incredibly lame this stinker turned out. No rules, strengths and weaknesses are reasonably established. Apparently Pinker can only be exercised with a magic love necklace. The ghost of the dead girlfriend is suddenly also spooking around, shooting with rays. The pointless Freddy rehash, which probably wants to be funny, but it isn't, rightly received negative feedback across the board and made with $5 million estimated costs, $16 million in the US back.